Good afternoon and welcome to the Momentum Mindset Show, where we're talking everything personal development, coaching, health, and the law. I'm your host, Jay, here with co-host Janine.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Please join us on Facebook, where we can be found at the Momentum Mindset Show. And if you want to call in and be part of the show, we would love to hear from you. It's 888-565-1470. And if being on live radio is not your thing, no problem. Send us your comments and we will interact with you on Facebook.
Let's create some momentum.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Momentum Mindset Show. I'm your host, Jay Farrow.
And I am your co-host, Janine Davis. I have to say, I'm thrilled to be here with you guys. I feel like it's been 2 long weeks that we've been on a sort of interesting hiatus.
Well,
not on purpose, kind of, but
it's the holidays.
It has been the holidays.
It was
Thanksgiving.
How was your Thanksgiving?
It was absolutely beautiful. Thank you. Yes. How about yourself?
It was wonderful. I mean, actually, there was 3 of them, as I was just sharing before the show. I had 2 at my parents' house and 1 at my girlfriend's mother's house. Mm-hmm. And it was a lot of eating, and it was very enjoyable, actually, this year to be with family and friends. And look, the way that compared to last year, I can see the changes based upon a lot of different metrics.
All I can say is, thank God this year is not resembling last year.
Right. So, listen, if you want to just dive into our weekly check-in.
Let's do it.
I think that the last show I was on a rant about my health and about the way that I saw things, because things had come up about some results that I've gotten post like this 3-year transformation, and I really didn't like the result.
Right.
And
so where are you with that now?
So I did a lot of research I dove directly into research. And for those of you that don't know what we're talking about, it appears that I still have scarring on my liver. And I was not happy with that, because I thought with everything that I've done over the last 3 years, I would have a completely, pristine pink liver. And what I started to do is some research, and some of the books I started to read was The Biology of Belief by Dr. Bruce Lipton.
Yes.
And I started to do some YouTubing that went beyond quantum physics into what's called emergence theory. And I don't want to bore you, but basically, here's the deal.
Okay, yeah, it's very technical.
Here's the deal. At the end of all the math, it basically says consciousness creates matter, as opposed to matter like creating consciousness. Like we didn't evolve out of this
matter. We evolved out of consciousness.
We evolved out of consciousness, which means that I create, or anybody who's conscious and. Has anybody been driving?
He likes to believe that he's really the only one. I'm going to out him here right now.
I've had the opportunity to drive in a lot of traffic lately. So I'm saying that for those of us who are conscious, okay, it's possible to create your destiny. That's what I'm saying, all right? That's what the mathematics actually says. So based upon that, it was actually very empowering. And then I went to a seminar. We went to a seminar called Psyche over this last weekend. And it's basically processes that allow you to reprogram your subconscious mind.
Correct.
And this is the level that I'm playing.
So you establish communication with your subconscious mind.
And super subconscious mind.
Right. And the super subconscious mind is, this is where it gets a little out of probably the norm, because people have heard of the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. The superconscious mind is acknowledging the spiritual components of our humanity, because, the tenet is we are spiritual beings having a human experience. So it sort of works with all of these 3 different parts of who we are, the completion of the one human being. And it's a really, really fascinating technique.
And technology. Good.
Yes, it is ultimately science and technology.
Spiritual technology.
Yep.
That allows you to reprogram your subconscious beliefs. The book, The Biology of Belief, boiled down to, like, if I was going to give a book report in just a couple sentences, it basically says that the 50 trillion cells that make up your body have their own individual ecosystems, have their exoskeletons, they have their own consciousness, and they work in harmony to make you who you are. So you are a collection of these 50 trillion cells, and at the end of the day, your beliefs create the environment that these cells live in, and based upon your beliefs, there goes your human experience. And it's actually, on a scientific level, mathematical level, spiritual level, it breaks it all down to that, look, your beliefs control the filter that you see the world.
Right.
And that filter,
therefore they create your experience.
So it's not a stretch or even weird. You don't have to shop at Whole Foods to understand this stuff, okay? It actually makes a lot of sense. And for somebody who only relatively recently am one of those people who eat organic, it's not hard to digest. So the cool thing about the whole spiritual technology is, having tried it out now, it works. I mean, just
works.
It's like, it's a practice, no doubt.
Well, absolutely. I actually, our guest who is coming up, by the way, we want to announce that we have a guest today. His name is Jim Davis, no relation, although we pretty much were raised in the same family, apparently. So we have those commonalities. But he shared with me, you are what you practice. And when I was on my way to speak to him, I had heard that very thing. You are what you practice. And so it's one of those things where the technology is there, and you get to use it to your advantage and ultimately to the well-being, because we're all energy. And so my well-being reverberates into the world, and by de facto, by quantum physics and all kinds of different quantum entanglements, creates more well-being in the world. And I think that is something that really sort of appeals to me, because I know I'm not here only for myself, but really to be in contribution to others. So that is something that appeals to me very much.
I think that there's parts that they were talking about that related to one person doing these practices having an effect on the human beings in the same room, even.
Yes.
And it's called being whole-brained, which basically accessing
so fascinating.
more of your brain as you're doing these processes, and I'm not going to call it healing your brain, because I don't think that's what they said, but it's certain accessing certain parts of your brain that you don't normally access.
Right. So, but what is it that, what does it mean to be whole brain? So what happens is that when a human being is under chronic stress, which we are in our 24/7 society, what happens is that the communication between the left and right hemisphere is compromised. So we're literally under our daily conditions of stress, only working with half of our brain. And so that is what creates so much anxiety and uncertainty, and really leads us to make sometimes decisions that are not in alignment with who we really are and what we really desire. So the technique of Psyche allows you to create, to reestablish being whole-brained. And that's when you're whole, and then based on that, you can make decisions, you can interact in the world, and your energy sort of reverberates. But it's not unlike the Buddhist monks. They've done several studies with monks that will go into inner cities or really embattled parts of the world. And their meditation practice and their prayerfulness creates all kinds of really amazing intended consequences.
Now, the cool thing that they're talking about, that I am now putting into practice, is that if it is your beliefs that affect your reality and affect your experience, getting to shift your core beliefs is not a conscious brain activity.
Correct.
I mean, you can read a motivational book and be motivated, and that'll last for a period of time. You could go to, and I'm sure a lot of us who watch this show and us, you might be a collector of workshops, that you
yes.
I mean, the next, 3-day workshop, 4-day workshop is going to, shift your entire being. Well, we all know, the ones that have done it, it's like, you get to that Tuesday, Wednesday after that seminar, and that motivation, that feeling, that good juju that you got working with people all weekend, fizzles out. And if you're not up to practicing whatever you just learned, you're going to lose it. I mean, and that's fundamentally what I've always seen is the gap in personal development.
Right.
Is that you're gonna it's like a drug. I mean, you go to like a seminar, you feel really good, and then by Tuesday, Wednesday, you have this personal development hangover.
Yeah, it's a withdrawal actually from all of those unbelievable drugs and endorphins and oxytocin that was released during the sort of bonding and the possibility and all of those things.
Also, that your brain is functioning with the other people in that room.
Correct.
On that maybe that whole brain level. And hey Cheryl, and for those of you like who you guys waving at, we have a monitor up about who's writing to us on Facebook. And
hi Julie.
Thank you guys, everybody who's watching. I mean, there's quite a few of you.
I know. Thank
Julie,
you. Thank you guys for joining us at 6 p.m.
Lynn and Glennie, always great to hear, and Kim. I know that you're probably going to either watching now or later. It's nice to have you. I'll tell you this: if you don't practice this stuff, it's gonna go away. I will say that of the work that I've done in the last 3 years, I've already immediately noticed with Psyche the benefits. I've noticed it immediately.
Yes.
And it was a 3 day.
too.
It was a 3 day seminar, but they made the point that the person that was running the seminar was like, "Hey, I was a collector of workshops. This was the first thing that worked for me," and I'm starting to understand why that might be, and that's because I'm reading the book, The Biology of Belief. I'm starting to understand that shifting your fundamental core beliefs, no matter how much I want to go to the gym and pound it out of me and feel that good feeling that I do in the gym, that's not shifting my belief system. Maybe it goes slowly or linearly that it'll shift my belief system over time.
Right. So Dr. Lipton says that it takes, when you're doing it in the conscious mind, it takes a lot of time. The subconscious mind is the quickest way because the subconscious mind actually processes information at 40 million.
It's 40 million bits per second, or
second.
400 million bits per second.
Right.
One of the two numbers.
I think it's 40 million. But the point is that the conscious brain does it at 40 bits per second. So there's a huge lag in the conscious brain and the subconscious brain, which is why you could go to the gym and it's really good for you. And actually it does release a lot of chemicals and endorphins and all kinds of different things. And it's obviously good to really move your body for a myriad of reasons. And it will never have the same effect as your connection to your subconscious mind, just because mathematically, certainly it's a processor that completely outweighs the other. I mean, there's no contest.
Now,
so
this might go pretty deep, but I'm gonna try it out. You ready?
Oh my God! Wait. Okay, I'm ready now. Lay it on us, Jay.
I like to believe that there was an out there.
Yeah.
That the answer was out there. Me feeling better about myself was out there because you could tell me how beautiful I was or how handsome I was. I thought that it was an out there because I would be accepted because I was quote unquote successful, and that would make me feel good inside.
Yeah.
I was addicted to, similar to being in the womb, I was attached to this out there.
Yeah.
And what this 3 years of work and the study that I've done is there is no out there. There's no out there that counts. Yep. The answers are all inside us. The answers are all available to me. And it's all about shifting those beliefs, because those beliefs, once I shift a belief, for instance, what is a belief?
It's a thought you keep repeating all the time.
Hard work, knuckle-dragging work equals success after years and years and years and years of practice.
Right.
And then one day you get to retire on whatever you did, and then that's your world.
Or if you didn't suffer, you didn't actually earn it. Life is not easy. Those are all beliefs. Those are beliefs that are super ingrained in our society, and they're extremely high. Oh, thank you for saying that you like the show being an hour later. Thank you for that. It's true. Like, we have these beliefs that are so incredibly ingrained in us. So no matter how much we could repeat ourselves in our conscious mind, life is fun and easy. Life is fun and easy. Until you actually believe it.
Okay.
Really believe
so
it.
The subconscious mind is basically your operating system. So
Yes.
and that's something that you could put in. If anybody remembers CDs, you could put a CD in, and that would be like you run a program off a CD when it was there. It's basically like that, and you can put in a different CD, and it's just as easy as removing a CD. Now, this is that world of programming your subconscious mind. It's not just Dr. Bruce Lipton, but there's Murphy.
There's
your subconscious mind.
Rob Williams. There's tons of people.
This information is out there, and it's like you can either accept it and practice it, or you could just go. What I was doing is like every single day is going to be a struggle. No one's coming for me. I gotta be a victim, and I gotta be the martyr, and I'm gonna go and chase. And this was like, and you know what? I know that I can do that, and there's a certain satisfaction of knowing that I could get up at 3:45 and go kill it, every day in and day out.
And you still may.
But there was never enough of that good feeling that was out there that made me a piece, in here. And so what I'm really doing right now, when I got that news from my health, is this, now that's again, it's life and death for me. It's like, wait, I needed to find new math. And this is the new math that I was talking about a few weeks ago. Yeah. And I'm going to start writing about this now because I've taken a 2-week hiatus because I wanted to recenter myself.
Yeah. Well, I am really glad, again, we're business partners, we're dear friends, we spend a lot of time together. And even that, our journeys have been different because I'd always been leaning towards this, although I really do believe in the tenets of like discipline. And some people, listen, you've always said this, all roads lead to Rome. And sometimes you take more than a few to get there.
I say you got to take them all to get there.
Well, you say you got to take them all to get there.
That was my saying.
Yeah, that's been your saying. So, but I don't know if it's because I'm a woman. I have different energy. I have different things about it. Like there was something always so suspect about the grit. There was something about that story.
It's a story about the grit,
right? The story about the grit.
Being a tough guy.
Yeah, and I started to listen to myself and started to hear the chronic whining, like, oh, it's so hard to be an entrepreneur. Oh, it's so difficult. Oh, it's so challenging. And the more I talked about how hard it was, the harder it got. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm not even sure I believe in this nonsense. And we're not saying, listen, it is challenging to be sure, right, to be an entrepreneur.
Because you're growing.
Right, exactly. There is a suckery that comes along with, owning your own business and all of those things. But it's also steeped in a huge amount of opportunity. And it is my choice on any given day how I work that to my advantage. And Jay and I are going through something also, in addition to, the suckery of our daily life, or however you want to talk about it, a challenge where, things are changing rather rapidly and we've got to shift rather quickly. And, there's some resistance. And I found myself having like multiple heart attacks in the last 48 hours until I realized, wait a minute. This is all happening for me. Right. And just because it doesn't look exactly how I wanted it to look doesn't mean that this is not absolutely what I needed in this perfect time.
All right, we are going to bring our guest on right after this break, and we will see you on the other side of that.
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks
so
for joining
exciting.
us.
Farrow Law Firm, standing up to corporate bullies, using innovative, aggressive, and effective strategies to resolve disputes effectively and timely. Contact us at 954-252-9818, online at farrowlawfirm.com, and on Facebook at Farrow Law Firm. We look forward to being of service to you.
You've been listening to the Momentum Mindset Show
with Jay and Janine. Give us a call at 888-565-1470. And now back to the show.
Yeah.
And welcome back to the show on this Friday, right before the holidays. And we are at our new time today, which is 6 o'clock, which is our first time coming at you at 6 o'clock. There's a lot of
Thank you
things
for
that we should
everybody who's joining us at this
Yes.
time. This is very exciting. I'm so sorry. I'm dying to hear what you're saying. I'm dying to introduce our guest.
go ahead.
But I do want to thank Anna for introducing us to Psyche, for supporting us in every single way imaginable to get us into that. Really, thank you, Anna.
We do appreciate and thank you, Anna. And with that, I'd like to introduce our guest, Jim Davis.
Hi, thank you.
And welcome to the show. We hear
Davis is in the house.
That's right. We got to stick together.
We don't plan on this, but you guys are not relations. Is that correct?
That's correct.
He's actually from
We make up that we are.
Okay.
Yeah. Apparently,
Absolutely.
our parents had the same sort of thinking.
Sure,
Where are
yeah.
you from originally?
Originally, well, I was born here in Boynton Beach, but we moved after I was a year old, and I grew up in Gadsden, Alabama. So
I can
a
hear that
Southern
accent.
boy.
Yeah.
I
So,
know. I love that accent.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I could hear that all
It's-
day long.
You're the
It's
first person to
definitely-
know that was born in Boynton. But
Yeah.
how did you make it back? I mean,
Well, it was, honestly, it was a choice to choose some uncertainty. I was kind of lived that linear, fixed life, and was in corporate world, and it really was an opportunity that kind of was of my choosing, but also of circumstance too. I had a company was sold, and
what type of work was it?
I was a buyer for a department store.
Okay.
And so the company was
Oh, I like
sold.
that. Spending other people's money.
That's
How
right,
exciting.
yeah. And so the company was sold, and it had me looking for work.
Uh-huh.
And so that had me looking at other opportunities. Do I stay? And I had a really, active social, tons of friends. My family lived nearby. It was really, but I was ready to do something different. I was ready to take the next step. And so I chose South Florida. I've always wanted to live near the beach, palm trees, the whole thing.
Right.
And and also there were some other things in my life too that I was seeking, love in my life. I was seeking family and career. I was seeking basically it all. And
Nice.
so in essence, basically by choosing that uncertainty, it has opened just that. So I've been here for 13 years now.
Oh wow.
And so married, children, or child, I should say, and unless you want to count the dogs.
We do.
So I mean, I think that has been kind of like the genesis of me like choosing uncertainty in my
Was
life.
it just that your job was shifting, or was there more to your inner calling for a change in your life?
The job kind of like produced the necessity to look for something else. And, and honestly, I remember making that decision. It was kind of like, I'm really, I'm going to move to South Florida. I know no one.
Right.
I'm going from a place where I know everyone, families nearby. It's like I have this great fixed life, and I'm moving into a place where I know no one. And, it's really just like an infinite area of possibility for me. And,
That must have taken a lot of courage because, of course, it sounds like you had the desire.
Yeah.
But also, it takes a lot of courage to make that kind of move.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it really, when I think about, like, even now, like, I think about my transformational journey. And I was even thinking about that this week. It's like, I always seem to think that my merits are really kind of like seeing what brought me through transformation instead of actually seeing how I chose it a while ago, and really seeing how I interacted with uncertainty. Because trust me, uncertainty is, even though that we're friends, it's not like a relationship I love to like be with, all the time. It's that friend, that kind of knocks on your door
Right.
and is like, hey, let's go, that like they're always doing something, and
Right.
they're like, come on, let's go do this, and let's, and it's like,
Right.
really, do I want to go? But once you do, there's some really like beautiful, great things that are like really designed for you.
Yeah.
Right. So you came here, and then you where did it take you? In other words, so you say you found love, you have a child, et cetera, et cetera. So what about work? Because we know you're an entrepreneur. So talk to us a little bit about that.
So, I mean, initially when I moved here, I was not, I didn't choose entrepreneurship. And 3 years ago, I kind of chose that. I left the corporate world because for over 15 years, I was in the beauty space and was a senior executive leading sales teams and all of that. And I chose to step into entrepreneurship. And, in doing that, it was really something that required me to, go from, because even like when you work for a company, you have like there's a role that you play.
Right.
There's a start and a stop, almost like a box, if you will, that you play.
Oh, certainly a box.
And the rules are set, and
Correct.
which who's on first, and it becomes pretty comfortable.
And you can just run it on automatic,
right?
100%. And so, stepping into entrepreneurship, what I noticed is that it is all about it. It becomes a whole. It's everything about you, and it's also uncertainty too. There's a lot of things that show up that that you can't. It's not
control.
Yeah, it's not anything controlled. And number one, if you want to make money, it's up to you.
Right.
So if everything that you do is needs to be movement and action towards what your vision and your goals are. So
what exactly? When did you begin what you would consider to be your journey of transformation? The work.
Yeah. So when I went, when I started with that, what was interesting is I had that kind of pivotal moment. I think probably we all have.
Right.
And it was a question that said, what about you would somebody want to, buy from you, let's say?
Okay.
And mind you, I taught this, like I taught sales professionals. It's, you're selling you're selling, but when it came to that question in that moment, I had nothing to say. And certainly, could I think of things? Of course. Could other people say great things about me? Of course. But it didn't feel real to me. It didn't feel like mine.
Right.
And
wow.
And that's when.
How old were you when that happened?
Let's see, 39.
Okay.
So right at the cusp of 40, and I just that's when I started. And self-development was not something I had ever done. So it was kind of like I lived a life of a very mechanistic worldview.
It's hard to find this world, to be honest.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's becoming more mainstream.
It's becoming more mainstream.
It's not. It's still considered woo-woo-ish. And now that Oprah's not on, ABC,
but even
it's
Oprah
even less.
is not into the tools of transformation as I understand them. Is she really?
She
okay.
is.
I'm just. Then I'm sorry, Oprah. Okay. I apologize.
You're still welcome on our show.
Right.
Just saying.
I'm not saying that she's preaching like the four fundamental transformational distinctions.
No, I understand.
That's what I'm saying. Sorry, Oprah.
but you're right. It's
hard to find. The world is hard to find until someone has a pivotal moment. So what did you do after you got that question?
Yeah. So I started with self-study basically. And I did a lot of reading. And just to kind of like introduce myself to, and I was kind of cut off from like feelings too. And like, who am I?
I know a thing or two about that.
Right. So I was kind of like totally.
It's a Davis thing.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. So, so it really kind of began my venture to like look under the hood, if you will, for myself. And, and that question and that, kind of like pause to even answer was, kind of some feedback for me to like, I need to navigate this different and I need to choose differently.
What did you read?
Oh, I've, Brene Brown's work. I've,
Nice.
huge fan of hers.
Yeah.
Deepak Chopra, Tolle, a lot of those things. And, and then of course I did, transformational trainings too. which were, a great foundational place for me to really kind of see the full spectrum of what it means to be a whole, perfect, and complete human being.
Right.
And even in that, how do you even know what that is? Because being a human being is just pure potentiality. So, and having that distinction for myself, supported me in entrepreneurship to really, not only accept within what I was currently doing, which was within the real estate context, but then also explore, how can I, because there's a kind of like this conversation then that you then have, that it's not just you and, you in this world and it's all about you. It becomes about, your interrelatedness with the world. And so it's not about do I belong, but what can I contribute? And so, and that in itself, coming from that as an entrepreneur is a game changer, because it's not just about if I do this, it's like, yes, it will, how I'm being and all of that will affect, but how will that also then reflect and, create for the world too?
Right. It's that reverberation, which is kind of what we were talking about, for example, like with the meditation or the psyche, and just getting yourself on point is also a huge contribution to the world,
Yes.
which is, like a bonus plus.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So what tenets of transformation do you use most daily? Like, can you give our listeners a tip of what is something that, really supports you in day-to-day life?
I think, learning to be present and really practicing the practices around meditation, journaling, and exercise, and I think that's, and I'm kind of, those are my practices. Those are the practices that really, support my life. But, and it's definitely been a commitment. I mean, that's one of those things where it's like, what's working and how to make that work. And because there's some days where you just don't feel like doing it, or you even see the necessity to do it.
And it's it's part of your subconscious mind that wants you to stay safe. That's just coming up with those feelings of not wanting to do it, because being present, what can happen if I'm present? I mean, I get to feel my feelings, and that's a scary. It's a process. Every time you're dipping yourself into that pond of being present and being fully present, you have that potentiality of what if, and that fear that comes up is why there's so much, all kinds of distractions.
Sure.
So practicing, you're saying practicing being present is one of the most fundamental things that you use.
Yeah.
And I understand that you're now also in a coaching program.
Yes.
And tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's with Ideal Coaching Global.
Okay.
And the coaching specifically is rooted in ontology and ecology and mindfulness. So hence the practices. But ontology is the study of being, and ecology is our interrelatedness in the world. And then the mindfulness is about really being present. So what does that all mean? It's about how am I being as a human being, and what is my interrelatedness with the world around me, and how am I showing up? And in the mindfulness piece then becomes, I'm now a different observer and a different participant, because I have that mindfulness, the ability to see, think, and choose from a different place than, in the moment, so it really is a powerful thing. So the ontology is like you're living your life, you're the generator, but you're also getting life generated back at you. So, and it's all about having agency. So it's more of a being participant versus, again, like we were talking about, the mechanistic, where like life happens to me and I'm a victim.
Right. And how to, and you're not ever considering what your way of being is bringing to your own human experience.
Yes.
Right. And so how are you incorporating this into your business, because I understand also you coach businesses,
Yes.
you consult. So how do you bring that for people who are not familiar with transformation, how do you bring that to them?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the great thing about coaching is it can meet you where you are as well. And it can because at some point, again, it's about emerging when you're coaching, whatever the context could be, whether it's real estate or whether I'm working with one of my brands that I support in consulting, or it's somebody that I'm just coaching. The purpose is to really work with each other and to create this conversation, and what emerges from that conversation is a different observation. So that you can then choose, if I'm committed to being this person, or I'm committed to be the president of this company, how am I showing up?
Wait, okay. When you say how am I showing up?
Yeah.
And I think that's where some people who haven't done some of this work is going to get lost.
Yes.
So there's different ways of being, and what you were mentioning. Okay, what are some of the ways of being that you can?
And I think that how to translate that to somebody is like, how do you feel when? How do you think that what does that look like to you? And how does that translate into results for you? Because you're right, there's some people, you ask them like, who are you being? And they're like, what?
So I'm being,
I know, what does that even mean?
I'm being
Sure.
courageous.
Right.
I'm being authentic.
Yeah.
I'm being
closed off.
Correct.
And completely disengaged from connection to people. And people don't realize that. So how can you even transform something or change or shift anything that you're not really aware of? It takes a level of observation of yourself to inform yourself at first, and then be able to make a different choice if that's what you desire.
Yeah, and that's where the presence with the coach is super important.
Absolutely.
Because, it's about listening. It's a different listening as a coach. And you're listening for things, and you're what people are saying, and then you're asking them powerful questions based on that. And that's where the emerging of observations is possible.
When you say that, when someone's saying something, there's always a request underneath whatever they're saying. Is that part of the coaching? When you say you're listening with a different ear, is it that what you're listening for? And when you're asking these powerful questions, you're not giving anybody the answer.
No.
I like to give people the answer.
I know. Can I say, Jay's a brilliant attorney, and I think part of what makes him such a great attorney is that he loves to formulate the answer. And in his practice, that's people are coming to him for his expertise. Coaching is so different because, and for the people who out there know who I am also a coach. And so one of the tenets of coaching is you do not advise. You're not a consultant. You're not an expert necessarily on the person's life. They're the expert in their own life. Yep. So this is a really beautiful part of coaching. And I think it confuses people and it also shows us all how we have been raised to be told what to do all of the time. Everyone is always telling us what to do. You open a fashion magazine, they're telling you what to do. They're telling you what to wear. They're telling you what you should want. They're telling you what car to have. Everyone's always telling us what to do. So coaching can be awkward at first because, what do you mean you're not telling me what to do? Huh?
Now,
But
for me, like for a coach, like I don't mind the kick in the butt. I mean, I don't mind
That's
because
different
I
though.
see your blind spots. For example, if I'm playing the piano, right, and my technique is off, I'm not going to be able to see it or know it. I mean, sometimes
but that's
maybe.
a coach. That's a teacher. A teacher is supposed to do that, though.
But there's other things like, okay, but if I'm playing soccer, and I'm playing goalie, and I'm like, and someone's looking out from my blind spots, and they see that, hey, when you kick the ball, you're only kicking it with the front of your foot instead of the side of your foot. You need to do these things. So I always envision coaches like looking out for your blind spots because we can't see them. And as I'm operating this human being, and I'm looking to become the most efficient, energetic, focused, present human being possible. That's the kind of thing I want to coach. Like that's what I'm envisioning.
So what would you say? I have an answer, but I'm interested to know what you would say about that.
Well, and
Jim.
I think that, some of the different businesses that I interact with, I'm so grateful for the work that I have right now because, yes, a coach in the context of coaching, you're not giving advice. Context of real estate, you sit there and ask somebody, well, you tell me the answer of what you want to do. They're looking for advising.
Guidance.
Yeah. So in that context, it's a little different. And then in consulting too, you're guiding them, but also giving them the bigger picture of what's possible too. So, for me, that's why I love what I'm doing right now, because it literally, feeds the advisor of me, the coach of me,
Sure.
the person that, loves to put product on shelves and see that and affect that. And that is kind of like in relation to the abundance of what happens in the world. So, I'm very, fortunate and grateful because, all aspects. And again, that's kind of going back to what is a human being and what can you be.
Absolutely.
And when you kind of
Absolutely.
make that intelligible choice of like what's available and commit to that, endless possibilities.
I want to get into more
So
about
I do want to address though
we-
one of the things that you were saying, because I think it's really interesting, and I have a perspective that I'd like to share on that. So yeah,
You want to do that after the break?
I really want to do it. After the break.
We're going to be right back.
Stay tuned.
Farrow Law Firm, standing up to corporate bullies, using innovative, aggressive, and effective strategies to resolve disputes effectively and timely. Contact us at 954-252-9818, online at farrowlawfirm.com, and on Facebook at Farrow Law Firm. We look forward to being of service to you.
You've been listening to the Momentum Mindset Show.
With Jay and Janine, give us a call at 888-565-1470. And now back to the show.
Welcome back to the Momentum Mindset Show. We're still
back,
getting out
everybody.
the 2 week off kinks here.
I
We're
know.
going to take our breaks, and Janine was just commenting with how much of a kind way I was.
Yeah, and, giving me the little
The-
reminder of, listen, let's take a break.
Yeah, we have one commercial, and it's our commercial. I can remember we pay for this show, ladies and gentlemen, still, and we have one commercial.
Nothing better run, girl. It better run.
We gotta run.
Amen. Amen. You know what? Let it run. Let it run.
But it's hard sometimes when you're in a good conversation like this. And I wanted to ask you, what is the name of your business now? Like, what are you up to exactly? And how can people, get a hold of you if they're interested in coaching?
Sure. So my company is
And real estate.
Yes, AIM Ontology Coaching, and you can reach me directly on my cell phone, which is 954-328-4370. And my real estate business, you can find me on Facebook, Jim Davis. I think it's Southeast Florida expert. I'm with Century 21 in Stein Posner in Boca Raton.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
When does
Very
this
nice.
coaching program have its graduation?
End of March.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I hear such great things about it.
It's amazing.
And if you will indulge me, I did want to circle back around the thing. So there's so many distinctions with coaches and what people think it is and the whole thing. But I want to pose something to you. So yes, a good relationship with a coach. The coach is actually coaxing the question, or not coaxing, but is sort of is in partnership with you so that you answer your own questions, right? So this is where the listening comes in so powerfully, because when you're really present with a person, when they're asking you for advice and you actually hand them back their own power and ask them, and pose it to them, you'd be astounded at how their blind spots come up for them. And what's so powerful about that, other than somebody saying hey, don't you see this, is they're like, oh my God, they have a visceral reaction of oh my, I can't believe I just said that. I had never seen that before. No one had ever asked me that question quite like that before. So it becomes a really beautiful sort of interactive thing. And you trust that the person, kind of like what we learned in Psyche, that everything is inside of you. And the beauty of being with another human being and working with another human being and coaching is that you are allowed to see your own blind spots. Sometimes the coach will point them out to you if they see that that's of the highest service for you in that time. But when you come to it on your own, because you're actually digging deep and doing the work, that is money, because what resounds to you is what's ultimately the most valuable, even more powerful than someone telling you something.
Yeah.
What's next for you then, as you know, for the next 3 months to continue with this course, and then anything else on
where
your
do you
plate?
see yourself going with it?
You know, it's one of those things where I'm still kind of in the pure potentiality of it. You know, I love coaching people, and what I would say is, of the 3 businesses that I'm currently doing, you know, the work of coaching is, at the end of that, I just, at the end of every session, I'm like, I feel like this meditative, like it's
So
almost
good.
like it's the best job I think I've ever experienced in
Wow.
terms of just
Same.
you know, the giving the receiving and the giving that happens, you know, simultaneously in an interaction with somebody is, you know, it's really remarkable. And, you know, kind of like what you were saying is that you just kind of, you work with a client and it just becomes this sort of interaction, like a fluid interaction, almost like a, you know, Betty Spruill, who is our master trainer.
She was one of my trainers, as a matter of fact. I
Yeah.
mean, just phenomenal lady, and really appreciate her insight.
Yeah.
I mean, I did a trainer forum with her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she talks about it being a dance.
Yeah.
And
It-
and it
that's
almost
exactly
like, you
what
know,
it
when
is,
I
yeah.
feel that way, I almost, it's like, okay, you know, this is really, you know, really just remarkable work. Yeah.
I happen to agree with you. I you know, when I have the opportunity to coach people and you have that sort of synergistic interaction
Yeah.
and you're connected in that way, there is no better feeling. And it's a feeling that you get because you know that you've given your best and you've gotten your best. It's just a I don't know how to describe it. It's really kind of interesting, but the feeling that I get also after coaching somebody and having that connection is unlike anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Now, we're right around the corner of a new decade. Okay, and you know, we're going to start talking about some New Year's resolutions. Although I think I'm going to transform that in the next couple of weeks to actually, you know, ask people to think about a different question. But going back to motivation, talking about coaching, you know, it is coming up on a new decade. Like, what does coaching look like? Like, this is the other thing. People like, what do we go to a field? We do this. Like, what is it? Is it over
You're
the
right.
phone?
There's
is
so
it,
many different
Is it
types
in
of
person?
coaching. Correct.
I mean, because there's a lot of fear just to go to
Sure.
another human being and say, I would like support.
Right.
And because this is not therapy.
Right.
Correct.
This
It
is
is not
not
therapy.
something that you think about sitting on a couch and talking about the past, right? So, I mean, what is something like this look like? Like, is it you're getting coached forever? You're gonna need like what is some of the packages look like?
Yeah, so typically with me, you know, I usually work with 10 sessions. But, you know, honestly, to really see kind of, you know, start to like a whole finish, you know, 12 months, you know, depending on, you know, what it
I
is that
agree.
you're up to. But that's typically, you know, what you can anticipate.
And how long are the sessions?
You know, usually anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour. So, I mean, but in that, you know, there's so much richness in that. So, and you can even get richness in 30 minutes.
100%, because coaching is all about you. And there are very few times in our adult life where you have an hour or however long that your session is that is focused solely and utterly only about you. Our lives really are in function of other people. And so it's such a gift to give yourself, and there's so much focus and, again, connection and presence that happens in that hour that's one of the reasons I think it's so powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, because people make New Year's resolutions, right? And they think that this is going to be the catalyst for change. And what I suggest is that every single day, it could be your New Year's.
Yes.
Every single day
Amen.
you could do this. But holding yourself to that day, like I'm not going to eat, the way that I've been eating. I'm not doing this. Start something small today. Make that your New Year's resolutions, because New Year's resolutions, just like motivation itself, it's not sustainable. Okay,
Right.
because you're getting a dopamine hit on your conscious mind, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna charge up the hill, and I'm gonna lose all this weight. I'm gonna be in the gym, and then the reality is that you got to go to the gym.
Yeah.
You have to do the work
Day after day, yes.
day after day. The coaching is something that supports the ongoing transformation of a human being on a monthly basis or every weekly basis or however it gets set up.
Yeah, absolutely. And the commitment and, just with resolutions too, it's about, that's, I think too, that, in our world of easy clicks and I click here and I get everything super quick,
Or swipe left and you got a person.
Left or right, I don't know.
I don't even know.
I don't know how that works.
Yeah, and when news cycles last half a day.
Yeah. So commitment is definitely something that is where I believe coaching is, only going to be, so much more crucial in our very fast paced, technology driven, mechanistic, worldview that we have going on.
Well, if you look at all of the high achievers, the top achievers, of people who are really winning at life, every single one of them has coaches.
Yeah.
And often more than one. So I say coaches plural because they'll have like a life coach, a business coach, a finance coach, a health coach. They have a team of people that help support their greatness and keep them growing and flowing always. We find ourselves in the reflection of another, and working with other human beings is something that is extremely collaborative. And when you can leverage your team and elevate your own greatness and therefore elevate theirs, it's just a really rich part of living.
Yeah.
So our goals for the next couple of weeks is to get some extra likes on our show. And if you're visiting us on Facebook or Instagram, you're going to see us posting some stuff here in a little bit.
Yeah.
Janine and I will have some announcements about where our Momentum Mindset program is right now, because we have some exciting news about that.
We certainly
and,
do.
just for one more time, like, how can people get a hold of you, and what's the name of your Facebook and your businesses?
Yes. So you can reach me directly on my cell, 954-328-4370. On Facebook, I'm Jim Davis, which is like saying my name is John Smith. So I'll put my name attached to this specific live. So
Okay, great. Please do that. Please do that. And what kind of little tidbit or anything that you'd like to share with people to sort of, I don't know,
start their
encourage
journey.
them to either start their journey, carry on, whatever it is for you? What is that for you?
Yeah, I think about a quote that is kind of like a declaration for me, and clearly you guys are supporting me and having that happen today.
Yay.
And it's from Emile Zola, and it says, and I'll kind of paraphrase the quote, I, as an artist, choose to be in this life to live out loud. And loud is not necessarily from a volume standpoint, but from a commitment and purpose. So, and I would say that that's something that, I wish for everybody.
And I love that.
I love that
And
too.
I want to
It's
take
beautiful.
a moment to thank Dawn, our producer, and Freddie,
And
but
Freddie.
Dawn for reaching out to me a year ago last week to come do their show, and it'll be a year, December the 17th,
Wow.
which started this whole journey. We appreciate you more than you know, and we
Yes,
want to
so
thank
much.
you.
Yes,
there's a
indeed.
lot left of 2019, folks. We're going to be here back next week. The show time did change to 6 o'clock.
Yes, please join us every Friday at 6 p.m. We are here with you. And don't be shy, you guys. First of all, thank you so much for everyone who has
we had so much response on
written
Facebook
in.
today. Really appreciate
Thank you. This has been brilliant. And when we were looking down, we're not paying attention. We're actually also interacting with people on Facebook. So thank you thank you. And please join us again next Friday. Don't be shy. Call in. Next time, 888-565-1470.
And I got a minute to give you an acknowledgement that I really appreciate all the work that you've done in the last, like, I don't know, number of months on yourself. Like, and it shows, and I know how hard it's been, but you have really taken yourself on, and I see you. And it's just been a beautiful,
likewise,
beautiful journey together. And we will we'll see you next week.
Yes.
And I needed to say that because this woman has really, really put herself out there in the last number of months, and it really has been amazing to watch. All right, everybody, see you next week.
All right, bye everyone. Have a beautiful weekend.
And baby, I'm really, really proud of you. Keep going for it, and you're doing great. And I'll see you later tonight.
Thank you for listening to the Momentum Mindset Show. For your hosts, Jay and Janine, we'll see you here next week. Thank you for being real, authentic, and honest.
If you'd like to reach us, please contact us on our Facebook page, The Momentum Mindset Show, or on our office phone line, which is 954-559-6987.
We are stronger together.
And remember, keep going.